truly, I don't know what the Supreme Court is doing. I have no idea. I mean, I really am so concerned about what's going on in the Supreme Court because their actions seem to be so indecisive, so staccato, so reactionary, and it's causing concern across the entire country because of the way the Supreme Court has dealt with this matter. And Rhythm joins me in this first conversation with Mahesh Jetpalani tonight. The nation is very concerned. Citizens are concerned. Rhythm, you can start this conversation, please.
Good evening, Mr. Jetpalani. Today, I believe the first question that needs to be asked is not only to Yashwant Varma, Justice Yashwant Varma, but also to the Collegium, which unanimously decided to only transfer him. Lo and behold, what led the Collegium to only decide this? Why is there no independent inquiry that they thought could be held in this matter before transferring him? If you can hear me, sir.
You're coming in bits and pieces, but
I gathered.
Can I? The gist of what you've asked me is the transfer which the Supreme Court made of Justice Varma, is it adequate, a remedy for what was found in Justice Varma's house? That's the sum and substance of your question? Am I right?
Yes.
But, I mean, clearly the answer is no. But the Supreme Court has made a clarification subsequently, right? And we have to accept it at face value that the transfer is independent of the incident at Justice Varma's house, right?
You can't believe that,
so
Mr. Jetpalani, you can't believe that. I mean, they've done that after a lot of public anger. I mean, an incident happens on 14, they do the transfer a week later, and they say these two things are not linked.
Yes, but
impossible to believe.
We have to take the Supreme Court's clarification at its face value.
Sure.
Arnab, there are 5 eminent men who are sitting now in this inquiry. If they say that the two incidents of A, transfer, and B, the recovery of illegal wealth that is placed are separated, right, are distinct.
Well, they've said so after the Allahabad High Court Bar Association refused to accept a tainted judge.
Sorry?
They have said so. The Supreme Court came out with a clarification after the stinging reprimand from the Allahabad High Court Bar Association, which said we are not a trash bin. So they... Yeah.
Well, you may be right. Your inference that the Supreme Court has backtracked after the stinging response of the Allahabad Bar, you may be right. But it's not for me to make that inference. I am a practicing lawyer, a senior counsel, and I wouldn't like to make such allegations against a collegium consisting of extremely eminent judges, right? So let's leave that part of that and let's move on as to the future. So therefore, the transfer in any case, as I said, I agree with you. If the Supreme Court's reaction had been one of transfer, it would be totally disproportionate to the nature of the incident, the illegal nature of the incident, which a member of a sitting judge of the Delhi High Court was found guilty of, or prima facie guilty of, right? So on that issue, there is no dispute between the two.
I'm just thinking here. I'm just thinking aloud here.
The entire country is of the same view.
Thinking aloud here, Mr. Jetpalani, and I'm just expressing this before Rhythm, you ask your next question, that we expect the Supreme Court of India to show the way on all matters, and all matters of corruption as well. Now, what's coming across here is that the highest court of the country, when there's corruption within the judiciary, is doing, I'm sorry to say, this little indecisive number. It doesn't know what it's doing. I mean, this is not encouraging for the 1.4 billion people in this country.
Yes.
They're going to say, what's going on? You can't even look up to the Supreme Court anymore.
I agree. And Arnab, let me add to what you're saying. Whether this incident, right, was whether the transfer and the activity at the discovered activity at Justice Varma's house are related or not. Let me tell you, in the past, every time there has been an issue of corruption against a judge, right, it has always been met with a transfer. The normal,
transfer is not punishment.
Almost the inevitable.
Transfer is not punishment. I'm sorry, transfer is a cover-up.
Yes,
transfer is not punishment.
I agree with you. It is because the Supreme Court has repeatedly only transferred errant judges that there has been no deterrent and the practice of corruption continues. I agree with you.
If the judiciary will not investigate its own, who will? I mean, do you agree? Mr. Salve told me earlier today, this can no longer be the subject of an in-house inquiry. You have to open it up. The whole collegium system has failed the people of this country because the judges are not accountable to anyone. That's my takeaway from this.
I agree. I mean, the response to shocking acts of corruption is extremely tepid. The procedure for reaching their decision in such cases is totally opaque, and we need more transparency on this. Now, let me tell you something, Arnab. This entire in-house inquiry procedure which takes place when there's an errant judge discovered for corruption or with money, right? There is, in 1991, 5 judges of the Supreme Court said that constitutional court judges, such as judges of the High Court and the Supreme Court, were amenable under the Prevention of Corruption Act.
Yeah.
They said they are public servants and they had to be investigated and tried just like any other public servant.
Precisely.
Would be investigated and tried. It's a 5-judge judgment.
Okay.
The whole in-house procedure, which has been followed in the wake of that judgment and notwithstanding that judgment, is, in my respectful submission, an extremely, it's contrary to a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
That judgment only made one caveat to the normal law prevailing to other citizens under the Prevention of Corruption Act, and that was that the concurrence of the Chief Justice of India to go ahead with the investigation and prosecution of a sitting High Court or Supreme Court judge, right, would be required. That's all.
Absolutely.
But if the police file an FIR, they have to make an application to the Chief Justice of India and get his sanction.
Okay.
And that sanction,
would presumably burning the social media right now. And much as the Supreme Court feels that the media does not do its job, this is one of those cases, I would say, in which the Supreme Court of India should remind itself that but for the media, this matter would not have reached this point. And I think the highest judiciary should be happy and grateful that the media is doing its job and showing the way. Thank you so much, Mr. Jethmalani. And I'm joined tonight by Aman Lekhi, Senior Advocate, and Satish Maneshinde. Let's put them on air. That's Mr. Jethmalani, slowly going away from the screen. Aman Lekhi is with us tonight. Aman Lekhi, we are opening up this conversation. You're very candid. I think you know the question here. I, as a citizen of the country, my faith is shaken with whatever has gone on today. And because it seems to me that we are having to nudge the Supreme Court into reminding the Supreme Court that don't try to underplay this or cover this up, which is very sad if that is the case. Aman Lekhi.
Well, Arnab, what has happened has actually stigmatized the system. It has brought to disesteem and has caused immense infamy. What we have to really understand is that both incorruptibility and righteousness are fundamental values which underpin the system. And these have been actually torpedoed. And once they are torpedoed, the credibility of the system collapses. And with the credibility, the power of the system dwindles. Just hearing Mahesh, and I'm quite surprised at what he had said, because he was, in my opinion, a bit too indulgent about what was actually happening, when we have to be a bit more focused and critical about what has happened. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. What I'm actually flagging is the process. The point is that for reasons right or wrong, there's an information in public domain that something has actually been found somewhere. Now, immediate reaction of a person, if supposing it is false, is denial. And there has to be some comment about it. And we don't as yet have that comment. Now, if we don't have that comment, the silence itself is very eloquent, because that actually says that what we've been shown to be present in public domain has actually happened. Now, once that happens, then there are processes in place. The processes in place bring in the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, will bring in eventually Chief Justice of India. Now, this happened, whatever the newspapers are saying, this happened in Holi. We are about 2 or 3 days beyond Holi. And this flurry of activity is taking place today. So we have to actually understand what happened in the interregnum and what did not happen in the interregnum, and what is happening now is why is it happening now. Now, when we deal with what is happening now, we have a very peculiar situation. It was all over the news in the morning that there's transfer. But of course, the Supreme Court subsequently clarified that the transfer is unrelated to what has actually happened. And the Supreme Court will act upon what the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court says after the report is submitted. Now, the latter part the Supreme Court is saying is correct. That is the procedure. That procedure, the Chief Justice will find a prima facie, make a prima facie view and send it to the Chief Justice, who will then, if required, conduct an inquiry. But the question is, and this is, these are answers which we need, and the answers which actually are required here. It's fortuitous. It's too much of a coincidence that we have a transfer in the morning when we have the news, and then an explanation later that the transfer got nothing to do with this post the Allahabad High Court resolution that we don't want the judge in question. Now, it may be, as Mahesh is saying, we have to give the benefit of doubt. I'm not here to give benefit of doubt to anyone. The question is, if there's a doubt which is created, then explanation has to follow. And no one is averse or above giving explanations. And we are talking about the key words here, the accountability and transparency. This is the stage of accountability, and there has to be explanation. That's all we are saying. So if the procedure is in place, the procedure should be shown to be functional, and it should actually show that the safeguards are actually ticking and are available for use.
I think what the Supreme Court should be concerned about tonight is the fact that its actions are being openly questioned. I don't remember the last time everyone's trashing what the Supreme Court is doing and saying, what are you doing? I mean, you're making a mockery of the whole thing, and you're absolutely right. The High Court Bar Association of Allahabad has given such a stinging reminder to the Supreme Court of its own actions. And, it has also reminded the Supreme Court that public faith in the judiciary is falling. Imagine this, Satish Manishinde. You have the High Court Bar Association of Allahabad telling the Supreme Court of India, please remember, please protect public faith in the judiciary. And then the Supreme Court giving a press release like a private company later in the day saying, no, these two actions of ours are not linked. This is bringing the stature of the Supreme Court down, Satish. What do you think?
Well, what has happened is a sordid affair, and the protection given to these judges under the Veeraswamy judgment deserves to be withdrawn, and this is one of the reasons why corruption has reached to such an extent. We always hear of corruption in the corridors of the court and elsewhere, but this is the first time somebody has been caught red-handed with 15 crores of cash, and what inquiry does one need to conduct? In all his life, this judge would have never earned 15 crores officially. That apart, the government says that you can't be in possession of cash exceeding 30 lakhs total in a year. And how could this judge have 15 crores in his official accommodation?
Some are saying 50 crores. Some are saying 50 crores.
It's all speculative, so I don't want to go to the figure. But any amount which has alarmed the Supreme Court to take an action should have, actually come to a conclusion that this is a man fit to face arrest. Because if a common man or a citizen in the country or even a minister was caught with more than this kind of an amount, first thing that could have happened is that the Anti-Corruption Bureau would have landed at his door and been arrested.
So I tell you that if 1 crore were to be found in a bureaucrat's home or a journalist's home, then the person would have been taken to jail. Now,
so the protection is being misused by the judges. So this kind of a protection which has been given by the Veeraswamy judgment needs to be relooked, and it should be withdrawn because it's not the first High Court
judge. In any other
judge.
case, you would have, I don't know why the Enforcement Directorate has not got into the case. The CBI, the Income Tax Department has Judge Yashwant Varma revealed his source of his income? Is the judiciary shielding its own? If this money is available and burning outside, how much remains to be found? The judiciary's integrity is at stake. With me also is Anil Tiwari, President of the Allahabad High Court Bar Association. Tiwari ji, आपने इतना strongly worded statement दे दिया है. You've given such a strongly worded statement. You literally took on the Supreme Court today.
इससे कम मैं क्या बोलूं? आज पूरा हिंदुस्तान जिस ट्रस्ट पे काम करता है, वो ट्रस्ट पूरी तरह से शैटर हो गया, पूरी तरह से खत्म कर दिया है, पूरी तरह से खत्म कर दिया है. Inside attack on judiciary है ये. This is nothing inside attack on judiciary. And I'm very perturbed to see the press release by the Supreme Court later and in the later evening. The entire day, everything was.
Why are you perturbed? Supreme Court is saying, जो judge को हमें transfer किया, उनके अगेंस्ट करप्शन केस या घर में जो करोड़ों रुपए जल रहे थे उसके साथ कोई लिंक नहीं है।
ये बात
आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट की बात को नहीं मानते हैं?
बिल्कुल नहीं, बिल्कुल कवर अप करने का प्रयास है।
आप कह रहे हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट कवर अप करने का प्रयास कर रही है?
Collegium is covering up this
Imagine the words here. This is so.
Now I am ready to fight for the end.
Can I come in for a moment, please? May I come
by
in?
the judiciary. I am not ready to cover up this. Why? Let me explain myself. It is not a question of a particular man, particular judge. It is a question of the pillar of the foundation of the judiciary.
I'm sorry, this is completely unfounded. Arnab, may I come in for a moment?
Pardon me, let me come.
Jay, let him finish and then you can come in.
Not binding on you.
Let him finish and you can come in.
It is my opinion, not binding on anybody. What I am saying is, the entire country, three pillars of democracy, legislature, executive and judiciary. The people have great faith in the judiciary. The entire day we have been discussing this matter because people, गांव से जो आता है ना गरीब आदमी न्यायालय में मांगने न्याय, उसके भरोसे पे चोट पहुंची है। बहुत
very
ज्यादा
important, great. Keep it on.
बहुत ज्यादा चोट पहुंची है और ये चोट अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जारी कर दिया होता, दिन भर राज्यसभा में पार्लियामेंट में डिस्कशन होता रहा, ये रिलीज शाम को जारी हो रही है। इज इट नॉट एन अटेम्प्ट टू कवर अप दिस इशू? दूसरा सवाल पैदा हो रहा है।
I don't find it believable.
But I say, my interest, I love my judicial system, I love my courts, I love my judges. There are only few black sheeps in the system.
I agree, but you know, there are 78% of people tonight, and today is a very important and unusual episode of the debate. I never thought that I would have to put out a public poll on an issue like this, but people are speaking up because they have a right to speak. 78% of our viewers, and we are the largest, most watched network at this hour in the country, and 78% are saying that he must be impeached. 20% are saying give him a chance to resign. Only 2% are agreeing with the decision so far to transfer him. Jay wanted to come in with a contrary view. That's Jay Anand Dehadrai. Go on, Jay.
Thank you, Arnab. You know, there are very eminent people on this panel.
Yes, absolutely.
Arnab, and very
Lekhi,
experienced
Satish
individuals.
Yep.
But you know, I think this is absolutely, utterly ludicrous and ridiculous.
What?
I haven't seen any proof. There is no video that I have seen, unless this gentleman who spoke before me has seen the evidence and has seen the proof. I don't know how he speaks with so much conviction. This judge can't defend himself. He's not on TV. Judges, by the very nature of the sort of work that they do, never get a chance to really defend themselves. So now, before even an inquiry has happened, before any proof has come out, before this judge has gotten a chance to even explain himself, and please, and I saw it on your channel. In fact, Arnab, I give you credit for that, because I always notice that you come out with exculpatory but also inculpatory, both sides of the story. And I'm told that the fire department has said that no recovery has been made by them.
You don't expect the fire department to confirm this?
Well, they have. Well, where is the proof to confirm it at all? We are hanging this man. We are condemning him, doing a media trial. And
have you not, Jay, with respect, and Tanushree wants to come in, but Tanushree, before, have you not heard the words of the Honorable Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court himself, who has said, didn't he say, Rhythm, what did he say?
He said today in open court, when a lawyer spoke before him, Jay, and Mr. Raman Lekhi, Mr. Satish Manishan, they would also know, he said, I feel demoralized. I'm shaken by what has happened.
Yes, he said that.
So when such words are coming out from the Chief Justice...
With great respect, I'm sorry, no. There was a senior counsel who spoke up in court and said, look, we've heard of these reports. Now, but nobody has said conclusively that there is any evidence, any proof, any video that has come out.
Yes, but the Chief Justice, Jay, said, I'm demoralized and I'm shaken.
Probably my friend has forgotten.
No.
I refuse to...
Why? They should be above suspicion.
No, Jay is putting a theory, Rhythm, that nothing happened.
Nothing.
Everybody is a fool. Nothing happened. Kuch hua hi nahi. Everybody is a fool. That's Jay's basic argument tonight.
The entire day was discussing, the entire country was discussing.
And the Supreme Court Collegium met. The Supreme Court issues a statement. We're looking into the matter. But Jay Anand Dehadrai says nothing happened. He puts the onus of proof on us.
There's no proof that one.
Yeah, so you put the onus of proof
through an
on
inquiry.
Aman Lekhi. Aman is wanting to respond. Aman, go on. Aman Lekhi, please. Senior counsel Aman Lekhi.
Yeah, you see, I'm actually astonished at what you said. We are not jumping to conclusions, but let's look at the facts. One, as the facts are concerned, we've got silence from the judge in question. One. Two, there's material in the court to show that the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court is conducting an inquiry. Three, we got a Chief Justice, what the Supreme Court is saying, the Supreme Court is awaiting the report to decide what action has to be taken. Now, if nothing has happened, why is the judge quiet?
Yeah.
What is the inquiry the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court doing? And what is the Supreme Court waiting for? I just fail to understand. This is childish to say. And of course, there may be a reason for him to actually say whatever he's saying, because you pander to a particular section when you speak something which seems conducive to a particular point of view. The point is, we are not pointing fingers. I'm not saying Judge A or Judge B is guilty. I'm saying there's information in the public domain which suggests that there is something definitely dubious around us. It may be dubious in the conduct, or it may be dubious in the accusation. We don't know which of the two, but that's definitely there's an accusation. If the accusation is well-founded or what is the issue, we got system in place to deal with the accusation, and the manner in which the system has responded is not the way in which the system should have responded, because far from clarifying what is there, it in fact confounds the issue all the more. That is a short point.
Yeah, Rhythm wants to go on.
I am doubly astonished that criminal lawyers admire so much. One of the finest criminal lawyers in this country, Mr. Lekhi, whom I look up to, is prematurely wanting to judge someone and send them to the gallows. And I can say this with some degree of certainty because I have a lot of...
We are not here to judge. We are not here to judge anyone.
He's not judging.
We are not here. We are no one. No one judges anyone.
1 minute,
This is far too premature.
No, Jay, I think three very important...
Let them have a go. Let them have a go.
Lekhi himself rightly says...
cannot be dismissive of it. It is something for us to deal with and examine. So we can't, much as the same way we cannot condemn wrongly, we cannot also exempt altogether. That's all.
Agreed, sir. If there is evidence,
Louder for both.
Evidence, Tanushree, I want you to also come in.
Let him finish.
No, Rhythm,
I want to clear myself.
1 minute, let Rhythm take this, please. She's going to Tanushree.
Okay, Tanushree, I also want you to come in because three important points quickly stated by Aman Lekhi there. Why is the judge silent? If there is absolutely nothing and we're making this out of thin air, why is he silent? By now, there would be case after case against us. But he's silent.
Now, as usual, I just need 2 minutes to make a full point, and I just need those 2 minutes. But I would like to first of all start by giving my compliments to Lekhi sir and Satish sir for being here. I've known Meenakshi ma'am for a while now, and they're great stalwarts in their own profession. So thank you so much, sir. Now, in my limited wisdom before my learned seniors, I wouldn't argue with them, but I would question them, and I would place just 3 questions, right? First of all, sir, with due respect, firstly, what about audi alteram partem? That's a basic tenet of law. Let us give him a fair hearing. That is the first thing. Secondly, my question is to Mr. Manshinde. Mr. Manshinde, some time back, wide a very similar media trial, defended a very, very famous star kid. And even then, there was a huge media trial and a huge media banter. He should be sent to the gallows. All these kids are very, very spoiled, so on and so forth. And he was termed a criminal before being proven. And what turned out as a result of that? Mr. Manishinde is a living example of that stalwart matter that he handled. Right? So how do we send a man to gallows without a proper inquiry?
No, 1 minute. You are making such accusations of the Supreme Court. You should be very, very careful because you are accusing the Supreme Court of sending the man to the gallows because let me tell you one thing. First of all, 1 minute, please. 1 minute. Yeah. Let me tell you, Tanushree, you should be grateful for the media. Extremely grateful always, because let me tell you, many cases that have come up in the court, CWG, 2G, a lot of cases have come up only because of the media. So don't be 1 minute, don't be ungrateful to the media. Second, don't be patronizing to the media. And thirdly, respect the fact that, as I said, when the legislature has not decided, we're told law minister may intervene. When the executive has not decided, when the parliament has not decided on whether it needs to impeach, and when the Supreme Court is dragging its feet, the people of this country watching this program tonight know it is for the media, and only the media that the matter is in the public domain, for it would have been shredded to anonymity in the course of public opinion had the media not intervened. Now, having said that, Tanushree, I have a direct challenge for you, if I may, and I'm not doing this on Aman Lekhi's behalf. But the Supreme Court itself says that there is an inquiry. Why is it conducting an inquiry? It says, and I quote, on receiving this information, the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court commenced an in-house inquiry procedure collecting evidence and information. There can be no smoke without fire. It's impossible.
May I respond?
Yes, it's impossible. Yes,
May I
please.
respond?
May I come in for a moment?
First, Mr. Dehadrai, please let me respond to this. Please. First of all, Mr. Goswami, I did not patronize the media. In fact, I'm very, very thankful to the media because you bring out such beautiful things and such, things that people deserve to know. But then you answered your own question, and I would request Lekhi sir to intervene on this. Sir, the inquiry is underway, right? And I did not, mind you, I did not say anything about the Honorable Supreme Court. What I'm trying to say is that we cannot declare a man guilty on TV without the Honorable Supreme Court and without the learned Collegium, in their vast wisdom, completing that inquiry. It is a matter of fair trial. Mr. Lekhi, have I said anything wrong?
This is usual
Sir,
tactic.
kindly.
Anytime anything comes in the course, I am coming in with a caveat. 1 minute, Aman, before you come in, one line. This, viewers, is a standard tactic. I would say that Advocate Tanushree Bhalla would like to kill the entire media of this country and say, we will do our own thing. You guys keep your nose out of our affairs. We don't need the media in India. We'll be like Russia or China. We'll do our own thing. You guys get out of here. And then let's imagine a country without the media, because anything we do with them will be called a media trial by the Honorable Judge. And then the judges will be a law unto themselves. There will be no media. There will be no questioning. And why a burning fire in a judge's house? Worse will happen in this country, but we must not report rhythm because we are doing a media trial. In fact, we must shut down our channels, close our newspapers, stop reporting, and start doing hagiographies of how great lawyers and judges always are. That is, I think, what Tanushree is suggesting. Now, Aman can take this over. Aman can take this over now.
No, I think she has completely misunderstood what I'm saying and missed the point altogether. We are not talking here about guilt or innocence. We are talking here about the procedure for the purposes of dealing with something which seems to be scandalously wrong. When it seems to be scandalously wrong, of which there is clear information in public domain, the question which we are asking is, how is it that we deal with it? Now we are talking about cash, right? Now, as we are talking about cash, we got an income tax. Now, if there's income tax, what normally would happen if there's something like this, there should be an income tax agency actually activating, seizing the cash, opening a block assessment, proceeding with the prosecution. No, nothing is happening in that account. As far as the in-house inquiry is concerned, the in-house inquiry may have gone on for the past 3 days because it happened around Holi. But this news has come up only today. It has come up today because this has actually come in the media. Now, the question is not whether this has actually happened at all or not. The question is when there is something which seems to be...
No, Aman, I'll ask a very simple question. Please, sorry for interrupting. Aman, let us accept one thing today. The legal system will congratulate the media for a bit. The judiciary the courts are today very unhappy. Where did this media, which was always being told things about, it crosses the line, it is a media trial, it does not do self-regulation, bad media. Why is the media talking about us? Why is it going to ask questions whether Justice Soumitra Sen of the Delhi High Court, of the Calcutta High Court, accused of misappropriating 32 lakh as a court-appointed receiver in a 1993 case, despite the gravity of the allegations, before the Lok Sabha could act, Sen resigned? Why is media talking? Why is Arnab Goswami talking? These are our internal affairs, man. We're Collegium. We'll deal with it. We don't need media. We may come up to protect our own. We'll always step in to protect our own. The problem is the media. I'm bringing in the media as a fourth element in this case. Aman, nobody's liking this. Judicial corruption, front page of papers, top subjects for 9 o'clock debate. Are people comfortable? They are worried that more skeletons will come out of cupboards. Now control the media, attack the media, put them in their line, put the fear of contempt in their mind. Let them not speak too much. That's why, very interestingly, Tanushri, on behalf of that disgruntled segment, has today brought in the element of media trap, which I completely object to, and I'm leaving it at this.
I would like to respond to this, please. No, sir, he has taken it. I need to respond to this.
No, you should thank the media for what it's doing, Tanushri. You should thank.
Mr. Goswami, first of all, I am very thankful to the media for reporting this, because I myself have dealt with a very hostile decision-making body a few days back who was corrupt, and I really appreciate what you're doing, and reporting should be done. What I am requesting you is that, as Mr. Jethmalani also pointed out, as Lekhi sir also pointed out, that there has to be an investigation. Now, I agree with Salve sir.
Do you remember the words of Arun Jaitley when he called after the Supreme Court? Do you remember the words of Arun Jaitley when after the Supreme Court struck down the NJSC, he called the Judiciary's act a tyranny of the unelected? When he said that the credibility of the judiciary is under question, he called the Collegium a gymkhana club. His argument that the credibility of the judiciary is as much part of the basic structure on the independence of the judiciary. Do we remember this today? Or are we to forget all this?
Now let us talk about the NJSC a bit.
No, I'll come to NJSC later. I am pointing out basic flaws of opacity.
Is this
opacity? Opacity is not good.
Is this a covert attempt to assail the Collegium to get something?
Oh God, now comes the conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory. Tanushri comes up with a conspiracy theory.
I think the Collegium...
I mean, this is not a debate between you and I. This is a debate between 5 people.
But then I would argue, Rhythm, if she's arguing that, then I would argue that did this entire matter of the cash, was the cash placed in the judge's home so that the Collegium question could be opened? Satish Manishinde wants to come in.
Let the investigation happen.
I'm thankful.
That's all I'm saying.
First of all, there's information in public domain that certain incident took place on the 14th of March. Secondly, there are reports that cash was found. The fire officer said nothing was found. Now, the police conducted an investigation. They reached the place. There are reports that they reached the higher authorities. Therefore,
I'm stepping back.
I'm sure an official bungalow like this would have CCTV cameras and electronic evidence which could be collected from the entire premises. Let that be also placed in the public domain. Apart from all this, why is the judge, against whom a serious allegation is being made, not opened his mouth to say that this never happened? Nothing was recorded in my house.
And I think the judge is in a wise thing in not opening his mouth. I'd like to answer that.
The fact that the Supreme Court has taken cognizance, has had meetings on 2 days, the Collegium is not going to waste time on useless matters. This is a very serious matter.
Absolutely.
Apart from all that, there are reports that 2 judges took a very serious view.
Yes.
Why is the registrar of the Supreme Court not issuing a clarification that nothing of this kind happened?
Not one clarification.
Not one clarification. So if the incident taken place on 14th of March, it has come public domain after 1 week.
Precisely.
Initially, I can understand that there must have been a lot of shock and surprise from the cops. There must have been many attempts to hush it up.
Yes.
It could not have been hushed up because the incident took place in a place where there was electronic evidence.
Yes, there was.
Come out. So why are you trying to defend somebody who is not opening his mouth? Let him come and to say that nothing happened.
May I come in for a moment?
Transfer
May I please come in for a moment?
To a person who has come from Allahabad.
So, yes, 6 days. What was the Chief Justice and what was the police authorities doing for 6 days? Why did they not come forward from 14th of March to the 20th?
Yeah.
Why did the Supreme Court today sit 35 minutes late after a unanimous collegium?
Exactly.
Which Satish Manishinde today questions, because he also knows what we know, that within the collegium, some judges, senior judges, were not happy. Only with the transfer.
Yes.
Jay.
And I know who they are. I know who they are. I can't open my mouth.
With great respect.
Yes, Satish Manishinde even knows who they are.
In a criminal,
I can't open my mouth.
When you want to prove the guilt of a person, it has to be beyond reasonable doubt. And a corollary of that statement is that all other equally possible scenarios have to be ruled out. Is it beyond the realm of possibility, given the facts that we are aware of today? Because he wasn't in town, apparently, the judge. Is it really impossible to say that perhaps that money could have arrived there from another source? Is that so impossible to believe? My point is that let it be investigated.
So this transfer system, let me remind you, you remember the case of Justice P.D. Dinakaran, who served as Chief Justice, Sikkim High Court, facing allegations of corruption, land grabbing, 300 acres of land, abuse of office. Then the Supreme Court Collegium initially recommended his elevation to the Supreme Court along with 4 other judges. Then following representations which highlighted the land grabbing case in Tiruvallur, the Collegium dropped his elevation, but instead of taking stricter action, they transferred him to the Sikkim High Court. I'm saying, what is this transfer? You decide the form of punishment. I'm asking you, Jay, today, if 15 crores of unaccounted cash is found in a bureaucrat's house, and if he's principal secretary in this department, will he, as a punishment, be transferred as principal secretary to another department?
On that, I concede, and I agree with you, that if at all it is proven that money has been found, then this transfer business is completely unacceptable. I agree with you. I mean, it can't be that you have a lesser sentence than for something as egregious as this. Completely agree. But at the same time, you would also agree with me that judges need an extra layer of protection. You cannot have a situation where judges...
No, Satish is countering. Satish, 1 minute. Please hold. Senior counsel Satish countering. Satish Manishinde.
This protection granted to the constitutional judges is withdrawn by view of Veeraswamy judgment. All this procedure has been laid and it needs to be relooked. Particularly in view of this high amount of cash being found in Delhi, particularly in a place where it is all covered by IV and RAW and intelligence agencies. So you mean he had no fear at all?
Be changed. The Collegium judges who have ordered the investigation are judges, whose integrity is beyond question.
No, you are taking a technical line. I don't mind you're taking a technical. I just want Aman to respond on this now. Aman, going forward, see, we are all shaken today by what has happened in the court, in varying degrees. Even Tanushri is shaken. All are shaken in. This is very bad. Tomorrow, when Tanushri or Jay or even senior counsels like you go to court, this will be the subject. And I think after so many years, this is the last thing you want to hear. That all over media, news channels, papers, everybody is questioning integrity of the judicial system. So what should be done, Aman? What can be done now?
Well, you see, if you look at the system, the assumption was that the correction would be internal and the occasion for interference would be minimal. That's the reason why we've got a very tortuous system of impeachment and we had no mechanism to deal with lesser misconducts. Now, that assumption, considering the series of actions which are happening, has proven to be wrong. Now, we in one judgment, the Supreme Court saying that, yes, judges are public servants and hence you can proceed and take criminal action against them with the only caveat that they cannot register the case without the permission of the Chief Justice. With that in place, later, we had this in-house mechanism, which in fact replaces this method of prosecution with an examination by the in-house committee only. Now, the examination of the in-house committee is preliminary to impeachment process. Now, the Supreme Court has clearly said impeachment is distinct from prosecution. So we don't need to in every time go to the impeachment process when you got other mechanism to deal with misconduct of a degree which may or may not justify impeachment. That said, I want to bring in a caveat, and that's because of the system as it exists. The question here is that we have yet at this point of time to insulate the judges from the executive, notwithstanding the fact that as far as the action is concerned is egregiously wrong. The problem which we will face is that going through the criminal action problem would actually drag the judges into the public domain and into court.
Yes.
Now, when they drag into the public domain into court, the impact on the system would be equally bad. The issue, however, is unless the judges restrain themselves or the judges act the way they should in the way in which the mechanism which they have devised acts, unless action is taken, maybe unpalatable in some way, the wrong will remain unredressed. Now, if the wrong remains unredressed and the non-redress of the wrong applies to a judge who has to judge the wrong, then the confidence of the general public in the system will dissipate.
Is shaken. That is the point. That is a very key point.
Arnab.
Satish Manishinde, I think you also want to make a point, and I also remember, in fact, one of the first cases that Arnab himself started in the Supreme Court, and I remember when I was a Supreme Court reporter, was the PJ Thomas case, where we spoke about institutional integrity and he had to step down from being in the CIC. So where is the institutional integrity of a judge? He's not abstaining from work. He's not stepping down. Satish Mani Shinde. We all forget that we're just transferring him to another court.
I am reminded of one thing. However high you are, you're not above the law.
Yep.
That applies to every citizen in this country, whether he is a judge or a public servant or a chief minister or a governor.
Sir, even the reverse applies.
Everybody should
Even
face
if
the
you are
law.
a judge, you are entitled to
Everybody should
justice.
face the law
Even the reverse
as
will
much
be
as
will.
anybody else. Secondly, the protection which is granted to the judges under the Veerasamy judgment should be relooked into and referred to a larger bench. Thirdly, the Chief Justice of India is the head of our family. If the allegations are correct that he was found with 15 crores in his house and the police department has made proper panchnama of this incident, he must be prosecuted immediately without even going through the impeachment proceeding. We have seen how impeachment proceedings fail. This is not a case where Chief Justice of India should reserve from taking stringent action, because if you want to prosecute Indians, even if for a 500 rupee bribe, this is a 15 crore pound as per the reports that we see.
Yeah.
This mind-boggling case, if this is not made into an example so that judges don't get corrupted in future, India will never improve in our lifetime.
Well, I thank you for your comments out there. In closing, I would only say this. In closing, Rhythm, that first of all, swift response is required. I don't think they can afford to drag their feet anymore. The court should understand that. The court should also acknowledge if it's made a mistake in its initial response, and rather than retrace the steps or put out different versions which may not be very believable or sound apocryphal, the court should then be willing to acknowledge the mistake. And the court should accept that this has shown that the Collegium system has just not worked, which they are so defensive about. Your closing comments.
I completely agree with you. I think it's time that the Collegium that is coming out to be completely opaque goes. The NJAC should be given another chance. And in this particular case, there needs to be a proper investigation into what really happened. We need to go where the unaccounted cash really went.
Absolutely. A sad day for the judiciary. We hope better days ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all from me and Rhythm tonight. See you after the weekend. Good night and goodbye.
Time for a quick breather.